Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this regular session of the City Outlaw City Council open, and we're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance by Recreation Director Corey, and please remain standing for Mr. Chaplain Rich Miller for invocation.
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you in prayer tonight and just ask for your continued blessings upon our city. Father, we're so thankful that we can come tonight and honor those who are worthy of honor. Father, we pray for your wisdom as always, your direction in the affairs of our city. Lord, we ask that you would guide the council. And Father, as always, we thank you for those that serve our community. Thank you for our law enforcement, our firefighters. And Lord, we thank you also for those that serve around the world for our country, who put their lives on the line. Be with their families, we ask, and comfort them and strengthen them, as many of them are away from home right now. Lord, once again, we just thank you for your goodness to us. You've been so good to the city of Atwater, and we just want to honor you and glorify you this evening in all that's said and done. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Okay, we'll have a roll call, please.
Ambrose?
Here.
Button?
Here.
Raymond?
Here.
Creighton is absent. Kale?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Well, now we'll have a report from our closed session by our city attorney.
Thank you, Mayor. The council considered 2 items in closed session, 1 case of anticipated litigation and 1 real property negotiations. The council received information and provided direction, and there's otherwise no reportable action.
Thank you. Subsequent need items?
Mayor Pro Tem, there are none.
Okay. Approval of agenda as posted or amended?
Motion to approve the agenda as posted.
I'll second.
We have a first by Councilman Raymond and second by Ambrose. We'll have roll call.
Button?
Yes.
Ambrose?
Yes.
Raymond?
Yes.
Kale?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Ceremonial matters. First off, we're going to give a certificate of recognition to Game Time Baseball. I don't know that they're even here, are they? There's a whole bunch of them out here, so we're going to have the council join us out here. The head coach, Jorge Molina, the assistant head coach, Mr. Molina, you can come on up and we're going to give you guys, you can introduce the rest of your coaching staff. These guys are the Game Time Baseball 13 and under travel team. They're out of Atwater, and they recently completed against teams from all over the United States and won championship in Reno, Nevada. Right? All right, we're done. Thank you. So, Mr. Molina, why don't you go ahead and tell us all about your trip up all the way to here and where you guys are standing, and introduce the rest of your staff, and then we'll get all the kids up here, okay?
Well, we've been together since 2017 with these boys here. They traveled up. We've been preparing for this tournament for the last 2 years, unfortunately, because last year COVID took a lot of it away. So it gave us the extra year to prepare. And the end of the day, they went up, drove up 4 hours. They competed against the best, and once it came down to elimination time, these boys were just unstoppable. They were unbreakable. They were fought. They played hard. They gave it to 100%, and like I said, competed against the best teams, and they came out on top as national champions. And I'm just very proud of these boys. They did an excellent job. Excellent job.
That is so awesome. And so at the end of this week, the professional baseball teams will they will not be able to trade any of their players away. How many of your kids are going to be traded away this week?
All of them.
There we go. Good. Great. So we're going to give you a certificate of appreciation from the city outrider to Jorge Molina, the head coach, for dedication and supporting and coaching Great Time Baseball 13 and under. And then we're going to give away a certificate of recognition to awarded to Isidro Vargas. Is that you? All right. And then we're going to give a certificate of recognition to the assistant coach, Mr. Mike Rivera. And then we're going to give away to another assistant coach, Robbie Sanchez. And now why don't all you kids come up here? All the kids who played are under 13. And Coach, why don't you introduce all your kids and tell us a little bit about them?
Okay. Well, I'll just go down the line. One of our boys, unfortunately, he wasn't able to be here today. Adam Placencia, he's number one. Got number two, as I call you guys' name, raise your hand, is Matthew Sunshine McQuillan. Number three, he was actually our Nationals offensive player of the tournament, Isaac Vargas. I believe next down the line is number six, Sammy Soto. Number seven, he was actually the Nationals MVP of the tournament, Joe Sapien. If I'm getting this right, next would be number 11, Vicente Cortez. Next would be number 19, Logan Sanchez. He's the short guy in the back. Who's next? Oh, he's next. He's actually the youngest boy on the team and a captain of the team. Number 21, Angel Rivera. And I did miss something. Logan Sanchez was the defensive player of the Nationals tournament. Up next would be number 27, Benny Centeno. We got number 40, Edgar Peralta. Number 66, Julian Juju Gonzalez. And number big 99, Angel Mo Molina. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your 2021 Youth Baseball Nationals Game Time Baseball champions.
Wow, that is amazing. that you guys all live in this area, and you're representing Atwater all over the United States, and you're the best 13 and under group. That is amazing, and you guys should be very proud. You should be very proud of yourselves, because I know that as a city, we're very proud of you guys. This is awesome. Tyler, you want to say something?
Oh, hey, I mean, what are you guys feeding these kids, man? These guys are all almost bigger than me. Man, yeah, man, these guys. I'd be afraid to play against you guys if I was 13. I definitely wouldn't want to play against you guys. So no, just congratulations. You know, this area has a great reputation. I think it's not said enough that this area has a reputation for good baseball players. For you guys to be the ones that stand out among this group, it says a lot, because I'm sure it was a very competitive team to make. So just congratulations to the coaches.
I do got one more last thing.
Go for it.
So I do want to also give recognition. There was 4 boys on this team that got elected and got selected. So when I call them up, first one was Angel Rivera, number 21, if you could step forward a little bit. The MVP, Joe Sapien. And number 2, Sunshine McQuillan. And the other boy was Adam Placenta. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here today. But these boys also got selected as the Nationals All-Stars. And they also got selected to play in the All-American Games that'll be hosted in Irvine, California this year, at the end of this year. And not only are they going to be able to play in the game, they're also going to be able to try out to try to also make the All-American national team. So that is a big accomplishment, and good luck to these boys. And these are great ball players all the way around. They all got good hearts. They're awesome ball players, and I'm just so proud of them. You guys made everything worth it, and thank you so much.
Now, are we sure they meet the age requirements? The people at home cannot even see me because these gentlemen are towering over me. But seriously, congratulations, guys. We know you guys worked your butts off, and I'm happy to honor you guys tonight.
Great. So this is the fun part of being on the city council, is to see all you guys, and I sure hope that you continue your baseball career or your athletic career, and you continue it on while you're in high school and start playing for Atwater or Buhack, and then go on to college and play if you wish, or go on to the pros. It's great to see some of the community kids who were in the pros, or there's at least 2 I know that are from our area that are currently playing baseball in the pros. But you know what? It's great that you guys are doing this. Be good students, and then we're gonna have you guys all move around this way so we get in the center, and then we're gonna take a picture with the council, and then parents, you're all welcome to get up here and take pictures too. So, okay. Here, let me get right back to where I was. All right, Glenn, did he? Oh, Chanel, right there. Did you already get it, Chanel?
We're going to get it from Jonathan.
Okay, all right, we're going to get it from Jonathan. All right, here we go. So while we're waiting for this sunshine, how did you get the name Sunshine? Is it because every time you smile, or what? Or is it because you're so bright your mom calls you son? Right? You used to have long hair? Yeah, my son did too. You know what? So did I. I grew up. All right, here we go, Johnson. Everybody get their pictures? Thank you guys. You guys are a gem to be around. Nice to have you guys. Great. Okay, next.
Oh, that's for all the kids.
Oh my gosh. Oh, okay. Yeah. Wait, before you guys leave, here is each one of the boys got a certificate. So you guys, I'm sorry, that was my bad. I didn't realize that. So okay, you all got their certificate. Okay, so next we're gonna do an officer installation of being an officer, and all right, and so our city clerk is gonna read. Our city clerk's going to give you the oath of office. And Sergeant Smothers, you want to talk about this young man?
Yes, this is Juan Navas, who is joining our family. He comes from Merced, where he was an officer there, and for about 2 years, I believe. All right, and we're very, very grateful. He's already gone through a training program, so literally we will be able to put him on the street after a very short training period. He's already been on the street for 1 week and is doing phenomenal. And we are very grateful to be welcoming him into our family.
Do you, Juan Navas, solemnly swear that you will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that you will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California, that you take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that you will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which you're about to enter?
So, congratulations. Welcome to the ever-growing group. And who's this? Your father? Okay, so you're going to stand this way so you can pin his badge on. And Dad, go right ahead. Dad, you want to share stories with your son and embarrass him? Oh, yeah.
So you can tease him later on. So my son, before he became a police officer, he said, you don't realize what, when we brought up Blue's Clues, And he said, that's how he started and wanted to be in this career. So I said, now you got something to tease him. So I says, you know what, it's... So I said, basically, you know what, if this is your career, then it isn't a job. If you love what you're doing and this is what you were looking for all your life, then so be it. And just take care of yourself. That's all I ask. Take care of the others.
I want all of his new brothers and sisters to come up here and take a photo with him.
So, yeah, look, council members come up, we'll get a couple pictures. Then the family, we're going to take a 5-minute break and the family can come up and take pictures. I do want to say that look at the support they have for their brother in arms. And what a great group of guys we have, and girls. Laura, you get in here too, you're part of this. presentations, monthly report by Merced County District 3 Supervisor Jeremy Daniels, who doesn't appear to be here tonight. I know that he is having some family issues today, and our thoughts and prayers are with Supervisor McDaniel and his whole family. So we'll go on to the consent calendar.
Background information has been provided on all matters listed under the consent calendar, and these items are considered to be routine. All items under the consent calendar are normally approved by one motion. If discussion is requested on any item, that item will be removed from the consent calendar for separate action.
From the dais, does anybody, would they like to have any of the consent calendar removed?
I'd like to have item 10.
Item
Hold.
10 pulled. Okay, and then any others?
Motion to approve the remainder of the consent calendar.
Okay, before we go into that, I'd like to offer the public any public comments for the consent calendar. Go ahead, please state your name.
Linda Dash, check number 17553.
Could you come up to the podium, please, so we can hear you and the rest of the folks in the... hear you?
Linda Dash, City of Atwater. I'd like to have you review check number 17553. It's made payable to Radio Merced. That'll help.
Number... Which one is that? Oh, from the...
Right here, if you could use it.
What page is that, Lori? Do you have that picture? Almost, we're getting it. $42. Okay, 42. We'll pull that one in. So do we... Okay, so we'll accept public comment from that one on 17, which one was it again, Ms. Dash?
Excuse me?
Which number again was it?
17553.
Okay, and
It's
what's
in the amount of $2,850 made payable to Radio Merced.
to Radio Merced
Correct.
for communication, a special departmental expense. Okay? So we will ask the Director of Finance. Do you know what that is?
Mr. Mayor, I'm only concerned about two of the line items. Of course, those two line items amount to $2,000, and Measure H, Public Safety Transaction and Use Tax was charged.
Mayor Pro Tem, if it pleases, we can pull that and review it and see what it was. It was charged against that, so we'll check with the
Correct.
finance director and see how it was coded and what, it was for radio ads, but I don't know the specifics on that. We can definitely check on that for you, Ms. Dash.
Well, I don't find that too acceptable because, number one, Measure H was actually adopted to support police and fire, public safety, not radio ads or anything like that. And I'm just kind of curious, I have a question for the council, how many of you folks actually, take a look at the warrant list every 2 weeks and review? And I'm sorry, Mr. Ambrose, I know you missed having the finances questioned by members of the public, so that's why I'm here tonight. About 2 years ago, I questioned $8,000 that was expended to Radio Merced, never received an answer. So I'm asking again for an explanation of the additional $2,000, which comes to $10,000. I know, Matt, did you buy equipment for police, or did you buy equipment for fire? I don't think so. So I'm asking the council one more time, how's that benefiting our police? How's that benefiting our fire? How's it actually going to benefit the taxpayers of Atwater? So this is something that I would like to know, and I don't know if I can get my answer from your new finance director, or do I get it from California State Tax Board? And this is something that came from Jim Marshall, who's the city manager of Merced. Inspect what you expect. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm sure that we will get back to you on an answer with that question. If we can get a hold of the finance director, but I'm not sure where she is.
By tomorrow, she'll have to pull the invoices, Mrs.
Yeah.
Dash, so tonight is not practical, but she can get that to you tomorrow.
Okay, so let's go back to the consent calendar. We'll pull item 10. And then, so we have we need a second on that.
I believe Raymond.
Raymond was first,
He made the first, and I seconded.
and Amber second. Can we have a vote?
Raymond?
Yes.
Ambrose?
Yes.
Button?
Yes.
Kale?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, so let's go with number 10 then.
So Mayor Pro Tem, that was an item by our Deputy City Clerk, and this is approving a fee waiver requested by Merced County Registrar of Voters for the use of the Atwater Community Center as a voting assistance center for the recall election during the period of September 14th.
Okay. Do we have any comments from the public? Seeing none, Mr. Button, did you have a question on that?
Just what was the typical fee usually?
I think our Community Events and Recreation Coordinator can answer that.
Just curious.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. This item comes before you once again. Last year, they asked for this fee waiver as well. What we were able to do last year for them was, rather than waive all of the fees altogether, is we waived the fees during the business operating hours of the community center. So we were able to waive those fees, but anything after hours, we charge them our standby fee of $35 an hour at that point in time. So that's how we've handled their requests in the past.
Okay, and you feel pretty good, like it's not going to impede on anything that we're...
So we have blocked off that time frame tentatively pending your approval.
Okay.
That is the same weekend as our September 11th ceremony, but it should not, they should not contradict one another.
And again, this is a benefit to our residents. That way they have a station where they can go and drop off their ballots.
Right, definitely. Yep. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, great. Anything else on the dice? I'll let you do a nomination.
No, we just, if anybody else nobody has comments, we'll need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve staff's recommendation.
We have a motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Amber, second by Raymond. Can we have a vote, please?
Button?
Yes.
Raymond?
Yes.
Ambrose?
Yes.
Kale?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Reports and presentation from staff. Initiate proceedings for the annual assessment levy with respect to the various maintenance districts for fiscal year 2021 of 2022 Public Works Community Development Director Thompson.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and members of the council. Yes, I'm staff. So tonight what we're asking for is the consideration and hopefully adopting a resolution that would initiate proceedings with our intent to collect assessments. This is an annual process that the city goes through every year. This is a regulatory requirement that that the city conducts with relationship to the Merced County tax collector. This is our initiation of proceedings. It is our intent to collect under those assessments, allows the Merced tax collector to do so and to respond to the city with the collection of those fees. There's two parts to this process. As you'll see, there's another item that we'll speak about just briefly. But this is an annual event. This is a regulatory compliance piece. There's nothing operationally to this. And as a part of this action, we are not anticipating any increase to the levy of assessment.
It's not a comment.
No public comments, nothing from the dais. I'll listen for a motion.
I'll motion to approve staff's recommendations.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second.
Raymond,
No.
Button,
Yes.
Ambrose,
Yes.
Kale.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Number 12, ordering the engineer to prepare and file reports declaring the city's intent to collect assessment, primarily approving engineer's report and settling a public hearing for the collection of the annual levy of various assessment maintenance districts for fiscal year 2021 and 2022. Director Thompson.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and members of the council, and again for your consideration of this item tonight. What you have before you, again, is a resolution. It is being done in conjunction with the previous item. The ordering of the preparation of the engineer's report is done in association with the collection of the assessments. The filing of this report and the collation of this material is what sets the level of service for those assessments. It is an action that is required annually, and it is a part of the regulatory compliance. Again, this particular item does not trigger any increases to assessments.
Okay, anything from the dais? Any public comments on this item? Hearing none, I'll look for a motion.
I'll motion to approve staff's recommendation.
Second.
Call for a vote.
Button,
Yes.
Ambrose,
Yes.
Raymond,
Nope.
Kale.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Public hearings. Public hearing for 2021 Everby Memorial Justice Assistant Grant JAG program. Lee Salvador isn't here.
I believe he's going to be joining us via Zoom.
Oh, she's gonna be Zoom?
Yes, that is correct.
Chief, are you there?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Mike Salvo, your police chief. I'm joining you remote by Zoom. This is a routine public hearing item in regards to the Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant. It's a grant that the police department receives every year. It is a no-match grant. The police department has two projects it would like to fund with this grant. One of them is replacing a server that the department's record management system needs to connect with other agencies throughout the county. And the second is to start the replacement of the department's conductive energy weapons, also known as tasers. After the council votes on this, we will execute the grant documents between me, the city manager, and we should have the funding for these projects in October. I'll take any questions if you have them.
Anybody have a question for the chief? So we're looking for more funding. Okay, I'll listen for a motion.
This is a public hearing. We do
Oh,
want to
public, this is a public hearing, so we gotta open it up.
Actually, I have a quick question for the chief.
Okay,
Chief, what's the typical lifespan of the taser if we're going to be looking to replace them out? What's their usual lifespan?
Their useful lifespan's about 5 to 7 years, Councilman Raymond. And with the recent technology changes based on the events of last year, Taser's got a whole different feature set with its new conductive energy weapon. It is something that will protect us in the long run, civil liability wise, very similar to the body camera stuff.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Motion to approve the items presented.
oh, let's, see, do we have any public comments? Any public comments on this issue for the hearing? None. We have a motion by Councilman Raymond. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Emery. Call for a vote.
Button?
Yes.
Sorry, one moment, I'm sorry. Ambrose?
Yes.
Raymond?
Yes. Yes.
Kale?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Council. We'll see you at the end of next week.
Okay. Now we go on to public hearing to adopt an initial study and mitigated negative declaration in accordance with the California Environmental Quality Act, (CEQA), and to approve a tenant parcel map amendment to the master plan and amendment to plan development final program plan regarding the location east of Redwood Avenue and north of Bellevue Road, APN 150-190-038. Community, Public Works Community Development Director Thompson.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and members of the council for your consideration of this body of work and these items this evening. Is there a PowerPoint presentation that you have available?
Yes, did you want this, or would you rather me go through it for you?
I'll let you,
Okay.
I'll just go like this when I'm ready. So again, thank you for your consideration of this item this evening. What you have before you is an amendment. It's a request for a tentative parcel map approval by resolution and a request to amend an existing planned development master plan and final development plan. That is the item that is in front of you tonight. The property is located conveniently across the street. It is the property that is just immediately adjacent to and right behind the bowling alley. It's 6.23 acres approximately, plus or minus. And the property is already designated in the general plan as multifamily and is already zoned appropriately for that use. So before you tonight, we are not requesting any amendment of the general plan. We are not asking for any rezone of the property. It is already multifamily in nature, so the only request in front of you is to review and adopt a resolution approving the tentative parcel map that would allow the developer to develop the property in phases. And secondly, to amend the final development plan and the master plan for this project so that it could host a project of lesser impacts. Previous development plans for this property anticipated a more intense use of the property, and this is an evaluation of a less intense use, in that it would only be 120 units versus the 153 units that were originally contemplated. So as a part of the presentation, you see the project site. It's located and has frontage along Bellevue. It's connectivity there. It also has connectivity and alignment along Redwood Avenue. Next slide, please. So here is the contemplated parcel map. This is how they would like the property subdivided. It's a minor subdivision, although minor subdivisions such as this that are not impacted through dedications for public right-of-way, things of that nature, would normally be approved at the Planning Commission level. They would not normally go all the way to the council level. We thought it was appropriate to approve the project in its entirety at the council level, so you could see it in its entirety. Next slide, please. So this again shows a little bit more of a blow up. It shows the association, the relationship of the other buildings with regard to the project site. Next slide. This shows you the units that are being contemplated. This is a site plan. This shows the location of the office buildings, the open little part, the mini tot lot as far as the park locations, the circulation within the project and things like that. I'll come back to the site plan for identifying some key issues of the project in just a minute. Again, this is a bigger or more blown up view of how the alignment would look on the project. This is where the buildings would be located. This is where the circulation would be located, where the parking and the incorporation of the landscaping throughout the project. Next one, Janelle. So with the package, both at the commission level, which your planning commission operates as your design review committee, so they have already had an opportunity to review and comment on the architectural design, but because it is a portion of the final development plan, it is also included in the final development plan for your review. Next slide, please. This shows the building elevations, and I want to make sure that I inform the council that staff has had an opportunity to work through 3 different design revisions with the developer. The first design revision we don't feel was a good fit for the area, for the surrounding architecture, and or for the approved commercial and industrial design lines or the residential design guidelines already adopted by council. So this is the 3rd revision, and the developer has been very accommodating in working through those issues with the city. Next slide, please. Again, this shows the same elevations through different views. I do want to circle back on a following slide to an element of the design or the elevations. Go ahead, Janelle. Okay, so this is the line of sight that we have developed. At the Planning Commission level, it was identified that the surrounding residences were concerned about the ability for an apartment complex adjacent to their properties that they would be able to see or peer back into their backyards. Do you have the following slide, which I think is more appropriate? So this is what I was talking about circling back with the projects, and I want to make sure that the council is aware that the distance between the placement of the residential structures and the only 2-story multifamily structures, that distance is 100 feet apart. So, following slide. This shows basically an example of what any concerns would be about any residents of the multifamily project being able to see or have any kind of line of sight into the backyards of the adjacent residential project. The other thing to note is at the Planning Commission level, which is identified in their plan development, the amendment to their plan development, final development plan, is that the applicant has agreed to extend the footage on the rear fence from a 6-foot level to an 8-foot level. So that gives them additional privacy, it gives them additional sound attenuation that they would not normally be required to do, but the applicant and the developer is volunteering to do that. Janelle, next slide. So this shows the surrounding views. The property, although we have an entitlement for the property across Redwood from this, most of the surrounding area is unimproved at this time. So next slide, please. This shows you the association of the surrounding buildings. Across Redwood and across that empty lot, you do have some retail development that has occurred. Janelle, next slide, please. This shows the surrounding street views and what the adjacent nature of properties and roadways would be to the project. Next slide, please. Okay, so this kind of circles back to some of the previous slides, and I want to make sure that we address kind of the tie-in of what these three critical points were in staff and the commission working with the developer. We had three major things that arose from our interaction with this particular applicant. One was the quality of the development plan. We requested time and time again from the applicant that we needed to make revisions, that we needed to ensure that what we were going to ask the council for approval on was a quality development plan. Everything from the architecture to the removal of balconies, so we don't have an issue with things accumulating on balconies, so that the aesthetic quality of the project was first and foremost in the minds of both your design review committee and in the council. The second issue that we had that we wanted to make sure that we worked out with the applicant was that that the project remained secure, not only for the residents of this multifamily project, but to the surrounding community. So the project and the nature of the project itself would provide for security, for gating, and for background checks of the residents. The third issue that we have, and we've seen other projects that may, in our community and outside our community, that may have deteriorated because of this, we wanted to ensure that this project would be represented by this developer, that would be long-term ownership, that they weren't going to just develop this project and spin it to another entity that the city has never talked to. We wanted to know who it was that we were doing business with. So those were the three critical issues that we had in understanding what kind of project that we would be looking for, that we could ask safely and securely and confidently, we could ask the council for approval of the project. Janelle, next slide, please. So we felt, go back one. So one of the things that we felt would be give us a good understanding, give the council and the residents a good understanding of what kind of project that we could anticipate, was that we asked the developer for some of the oldest and the newest. I mean, a kind of a cross section between what their other projects look like. So on the left-hand slide, as you can see, this project in Willow Glen, Sacramento, California, was built in 1989. The quality of the project, as you can see, aesthetically, any of the surface treatments, the stone, the landscaped areas, the walk areas, they look like the project was built yesterday, and this project was from 1989. What we told and expressed to the developer is, I don't want to see a project, and the public doesn't want to see a project that you built yesterday. What I want is a picture you took yesterday of a project that you built 20 years ago. That was the importance of it and the relevance of including this material in your presentation. Janelle, move forward. See, again, you see the project ranges anywhere from 16 to 20 plus years old in the development of these projects. And the aesthetic quality and the maintenance, they're subject to annual inspection by their lenders and the financing entities. Next, Janelle. Again, the same kind of thing. A cross-section of architectural types and longevity of ownership that ensures the quality of project. Next, please. Okay, so I would be available to answer any questions or comments by the council. Again, what we're seeking tonight is the adoption of the environmental document that was used to evaluate the project, the tentative parcel map, and the approval of the amendment to the master plan and the final development plan for the project. And I believe a representative from the developer is in the audience if you have any questions as well.
Anybody have any questions or comments from you guys? Up here. So I want to make sure they increase the wall to 8 feet, and it's a cinder block wall, and it's going to be as close as possible to the back fences of Los Altos Drive, so that nobody can actually fit in between there.
The developer in this particular case would place the CMU wall, or the cement wall, basically a cinder block wall. It would be placed on their property line.
Okay.
So if the residents behind them, as long as they have built their rear fence to their property line, there'd be no hiatus there. But the developer in this particular case, if there was a hiatus there because the property owners didn't build on their property line, they're not allowed to construct outside the envelope of their own parcel or their property. So we can't make them trespass onto somebody else's property.
Okay. And, you can come on up and see, so is it my understanding that there's gonna be a camp, there, in that 100 feet between the apartment complex is a, lack of a better word, is a driveway and then parking spaces, and that has a canopy over it, correct?
That's correct.
And is the canopy gonna have, solar on those canopies?
Yes. It'll be
So that extends it up another at least 6 inches high.
I would say if the canopy's at a tilt for drainage, at least that.
Okay, so, and that wasn't on there, so,
No, we had to just go by just strictly what the line of sight requirements were and the requirements under the development plan. That they're willing to put a canopy is fantastic.
yeah, and even more so. And there's two things with this. It also proves that this is a quality building. If they're spending money to put solar in there to assist those families, is that correct?
That's right.
Okay, so I have a statement I want to make, and this was about a month ago. Somebody called me and asked me, can you tell me where a good, nice apartment complex is in Atwater, because we're getting ready to move, and we want to rent an apartment for about a year to see what happens to the housing in Atwater. And the look. But we really like Atwater. It was sad that I had to tell her, no, I can't tell you. Because I don't know that, one, that there's an apartment complex that has availability, and two, that they're nice. And looking at your renderings, I would say those are very nice.
Yes.
For affordable housing. So, anybody have anything else?
Is there going to be public comment and then?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We're gonna do public comment.
Oh, okay.
I was just seeing if you guys had any questions.
Over
on
it.
these sites.
Well, one question I guess I had was the space between that 8-foot, is it an 8-foot wall or 9-foot wall that's kind of going to be facing the residents there?
We're going to build a new 8-foot block wall.
Okay. Is there going to be is there's going to be a little bit of a gap between that wall and their fence?
The property line currently sits 5 feet from their existing fence line.
Okay. Is there going to be is the security gate going to maybe branch out past that so we couldn't get? Because one thing I thought of is that could be like a little, basically like an alleyway for some, we'll call it foot traffic,
Right.
or maybe some campgrounds, or something there. Now, granted, anybody can walk anywhere. It doesn't just because you make a, but it does, in my mind, kind of create. So would you guys be able to maybe have that gate go past the wall so that way?
We could build something along the right of way there.
Mhm.
Well,
but if I lived at those single family homes, I would extend my side fences and attach it to the block wall and remove the back panels.
So, but again, just as a previous comment that staff made in their presentation, Councilman Button, we have to be very cautious that we're not asking a developer to trespass onto property. They can't build an encroachment back there. It would be something that we would be prevented
Yeah,
from doing.
I'd have to have permission from each homeowner to
Okay.
do that.
But you guys
Some-
would be.
Some may do that, some won't. There's always a couple holdouts.
Sure. You guys would at least be flexible if say they wanted to build a maybe make their fence kind of.
I would fix their fence with a letter of permission.
Okay. Okay. I know we're in the very, very, very beginning stages. I understand.
Well, it's going to move along quick, but
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Raymond, do you have anything?
Yeah, I got a couple of questions. For your guys' projects, do you guys have any landlord accountability as far as them overseeing the tenants? 'Cause there's a lot of issues that we've had in the past.
Yes, we actually have a couple things I wanted to say here that Greg didn't say. He said most of everything on my list, so I just wanted to say that these projects are all well maintained, and we are visited annually by the bank and every 3 years by the state to make sure we're in conformance. And we currently manage, we have over 80 developments that represents about 6,200 units. And we have managers that actually live on the site, and so they're in their office from 8 to 5. And so if anything comes up after hours, they can be contacted. And if they're not available, they can always contact the head office, ConAm, or our office, and we'll look into it. They can call me, and might not be able to answer right away, but I'll find an answer. But we have on-site managers that make sure things don't get out of hand and people follow the guidelines and the rules and regulations.
Okay, now that goes to my next question. Is there an occupancy limit per apartment or per unit?
There is. The state of California actually allows, it's 2 people per bedroom plus 1. So a 1-bedroom unit can have 3 people, a 2-bedroom unit could have 5 people, and a 3-bedroom unit could have 7 people. So when I do the math on all that on this project as a total, the maximum allowed by state would be approximately 600 people, and that would be parents and children. And then, but the likelihood of that happening is low. I estimate that it'll actually come out more like 340 people for the project. So for total, that's 2 phases, 120.
Okay. And then do you have a guesstimation on like rent amounts?
I do.
Or is that going to be all based on? Because I know all the construction costs are through the roof right now.
I know I'll get myself in trouble by using these numbers.
Yeah,
but roughly,
you got to be careful with that at the moment.
I think a 2-bedroom unit in Atwater right now can be 1,600 to maybe 2,000, depending on the quality of the apartment. Our rents will be 30 to 60% of that. So if you use 2,000, that would go from $600 to $1,200 a month for a 3-bedroom.
Okay, so if it's going to be 30 to 60% of that, is it then are you guys subsidized or?
We are, yes. That's what the tax funding is all about. Our final application for the funding for this, we already have some funding in place. Our final application for this funding will be March of 2022, and then I will close by the end of the year, and our construction takes 1 year. So by the end of 2023, we'll have residents moving in.
Okay.
I feel like I'm talking.
All right, thank you.
And I think you just mentioned it. So I know you guys are going to be, which I do like that, the 55 years you guys are going to be, in ownership of this. As far as the management, is that a third-party company that you guys work with?
We hire them. They work for us.
They work for you guys?
Yeah, we have our acquisitions team, which we've gone through on this. We have our entitlement team, which is why we're here tonight. And then after that, we have a whole funding team that finds funds, and then we have our own construction company as well. And then once the project is built and people move in, we have our own management team that manages all these projects. And like I said, we have over 80 developments with 6,200 apartments.
So that manager that's perhaps going to live on, or is going to live.
Yeah, we will hire ConAm. They will hire somebody to live on site and manage the project from there. There's on-site gardeners, there's cameras, there's gates, and can't keep up everybody, but we try.
How about how tall are these fences? I know, again, I know you guys are in the very, very beginning, but roughly how? Because I see it.
Which fence?
With the gate that's going to be around the property.
I want to say they're standard like 5 or 6 foot.
Okay.
I mean,
okay.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you taking the calls, being available as well.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody up here? Okay, we'll open it up to public comment. Any public comments on this issue? Or open up to a public hearing?
Atwater. How many units would be
120.
120? And he's kind of figuring maybe it could be 600 residents roundabout?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. My question is impact on public safety. We don't have a whole huge police department right now, and I'd sure hate to see them strangled to death by, you know, more folks. So I think there should be some sort of, maybe someone ought to think about, they're gonna be making a lot of money off of these apartments, and I think maybe we ought to add an officer or two that would just kind of satisfy the impact on public safety. Used to do that a long time ago, back when the earth was cooling. Impact fee, you allowed to do that? I'm talking fire and police, really. But right now, I think police. And you're gonna have 2-story buildings, right? Now, those 2 stories, are they going to be on the other side of the fence?
So, yeah,
My question.
I know you're asking a question, and those are great questions, but we can't have conversation with that. We can listen to your questions, and we can try to get back to you.
That's interesting.
They're really great questions.
Things sure have changed here in Atwater. Thank you very much. I'll find out another way.
Any other public comments? There are none. We'll close the public.
No, Mayor Pro Tem, I do not have any emails or speaker cards regarding this item.
Okay, we'll close the public comments and the public. So I'll look for a motion then.
Mayor, if I may.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Councilman Raymond.
I would just like to get the city attorney's opinion here on kind of where we're at with this, considering the public safety impacts and everything that we're dealing with. What are the implications of approving, not approving a project like this?
Well, at a high level, I can say that the state law is obviously trying to incentivize housing inventory and new housing as strongly as possible, and they've tried to incentivize local agencies and cities to increase their housing, but they've also have a lot of accountability measures in the law to frankly take a fair amount of local control out of public agencies as it relates to housing production. So I guess what I can say at a high level is the city would have to make some fairly aggressive findings as it related to this project to deny it essentially. So yeah.
Okay, and I guess my last question is with this and the potential of another project in the vicinity, has there been an updated traffic study or traffic survey for the increase?
Do you want me to?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Councilman Raymond, this is Director Thompson. I'd like to respond to your inquiry, which is that the environmental process has changed quite a bit in the state of California. They're no longer required to create levels of service type traffic impact studies. They're all geared towards what's called VTM, or vehicle miles traveled, to take on impacts or to address impacts of greenhouse gas production and air quality. That's the direction by the state. That's the direction and that they have given all the local municipalities with regard to CEQA. This particular project, if you look at the list of conditions of approval that we are recommending in the resolution, the applicant would be subject to a reimbursement fee for impacts to the city that's already addressed as a condition. So you've already, even though we were not able to assess that from the from what the state gives us to use as a tool, we are able to address that from the perspective of this is an amendment to a previous entitlement. That entitlement included reimbursement to the city, and that is present in what we're asking for tonight.
Okay, thank you.
And as far as cost to us, what are we looking at as far as, is there going to be any cost to the city that we can foresee? Besides the possible safety issue.
Okay, so the traffic impacts, they're already agreeing to the reimbursement for improvements that the city has already installed at project. The other things that we would address as far as their development fees or development impact fees, and unfortunately, the development impact fee schedule that we have is the one that we have currently adopted by council, so we don't really a lot of wiggle room on that. Building fees, anything else, they're still subject to, just like any other developer would be. They have not at present asked for any development agreement with the city.
And so I know with SB 330, it streamlines the amount of time that we get with them going through all the procedures and environmental studies, right? Because typically it's 120 days, right? And then with SB 330, these type of programs get fast tracked to 60. Am I wrong?
Well, aside from the normal processes that you would do, this particular project has taken as much time or as much time as any other project would have taken, even as a standard development project. I think the way that our city attorney has summarized the exposure or the limitations that the state is continuously wrenching down on us, they're present right now, but the project, the way it has moved through the process, has been extremely transparent and has abided by all of our development standards regardless of any of the requirements under SB 330.
And I do appreciate what seems like has been a really good communication between you guys and Chelsea. That seems like it seems like it's been very healthy, with which that really I think would make residents happy. It seems like you guys have done a few different hearings with the public, and to get input from them. Am I wrong in that there has been in fact some strong input from the residents? I just want to make sure that's.
We actually had a really good opportunity to meet with a representative of some of the residents in that area. The gentleman came in, he had a list of questions and concerns, he had some recommendations. He was fortunately able to introduce those recommendations at the Planning Commission level so they could be included with the recommendation to council. So we felt we had really good interaction with a representative of those residents in the area. The concession or the agreement by the developer to extend the height of the rear fence, that was one of the recommendations.
And just to kind of what others have kind of alluded to, I'm only speaking for myself. I'm not really someone who I don't like the feeling of being put in a corner on things in my personal life in general. I'm the kind of person, I like to be the one that feels like if we're going to do this, it was my decision, and I'm speaking metaphorically, like Atwater. Atwater, California. I mean, it's no secret that California likes to kind of run roughshod over some of the local municipalities with some of their policies. I think if you've lived in California long enough, you've figured that out. They like to get as much control as they can. I like the idea of Atwater being as independent as possible, and not that I don't like what I'm seeing here, and I don't want Chelsea or staff to take it. It's just it does. I guess it's one of those things. If we were looking at this project, it's sometimes it's nice to know that whatever our decision is, there's not something lurking in the background. If we happen to decide maybe it wasn't the best fit for Atwater for whatever reason, I I won't get into details, but there are, just from me reading different articles and doing some research on my own, some cities don't fare too well from what I see when they perhaps have a different idea of what they want with a particular affordable housing project or some type of apartment project that's going into their community. So I'm just voicing my, I guess, frustration that this is that's something that has become somewhat of a trend in California that, and again, some of these communities, some of these towns that had a little bit of pressure put on them, maybe they wanted that project all to begin with, but from what I read, it doesn't look like they had much of a choice. It's kind of a corny quote, but I always think of, when Churchill says, I enjoy learning, but I don't like being taught. I'm kind of the same way. I like when we can help the community. I know a handful of people that I know personally that probably will benefit from this project. So it's not me necessarily saying that, but I'm just voicing my frustration. I do think there are some benefits in the fact that the relationship has been so good, and they have been very open with listening to our residents and their concerns. Atwater, we have a history of being a community that's very involved. As if people watch city council meetings, they're very involved in what's going on in this town, and that's all I have to say there.
Mayor Pro Tem, if I may, I would actually like to see if we could table this item for tonight to the next agenda, so that way I have time to sit with the Director Thompson and get more information.
So are you making a motion to suspend this tonight? Continue?
Yes, to continue it to the next meeting.
Okay, so we need to make sure that's a motion, Councilman Raymond.
Correct, that's a motion.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Could we have a roll call, please?
Button,
Yes.
Raymond,
Yes.
Ambrose,
No.
Kale,
No.
motion fails.
So can we have a motion, anybody else wish to have a second, wish to make a public comment on this issue? From a public hearing. Okay, so we'll close the public hearing then, and then we'll open up to public comments, any other public comments. Mr. Bellwood.
Good evening, my name is Don Borgward. I sit as one of your planning commissioners who oversaw this project when it came to planning and took a look at it. I'm very familiar with projects like this, as I've done multiple construction projects working with tax credit and tax credit projects. Some of the concerns that have been expressed here tonight, while those concerns are relevant and those concerns are a point of matter, I think there's a bigger concern that we have to understand too. We have an escalating base of housing costs that's currently going up. We have an apartment vacancy rate which is at an all-time low, and we also have apartment rents that are going up as we speak. One of the things we don't have in this community is we don't have quality affordable housing. These types of quality tax credit projects are multi-levered, leveraged projects with funding that comes from either bond issues, tax credit syndication, investors, banks, and many of these projects you would not build, because when you take a look at the financial status of these, they do not pencil out initially. These pencil out over time, and it takes time for these projects. But the benefit to these projects is you have 120 units that goes online that's going to house people that will not find housing in this area. That housing is their only opportunity currently right now. The housing that you may be kind of hesitating on currently is housing that is much needed by these residents. One of the things that we needed to look at, one of the things that we voted on when we took a look at this, is that the city needs affordable housing, but it needs quality projects like this. People need a place to have housing, and we don't have that. So while we continue to actually discuss this matter and maybe table the matter for a time period, there are people that are going to be dependent upon this. A year from now, 2022, when this constructs, what do you think those rental rates are going to be? What do you think the house market's going to be? My house over 6 months' time has actually increased by 9.5% in 6 months' time. So these people are not going to be able to get into this. These people that we're talking about also are the people that are at minimum wage. They're single mothers with kids. They're people that are working people that are looking for a place to live. They can't live in Atwater. So our service people are going to be moving out to Winton or other areas and having to commute in. So I would just like to encourage the council to really consider these projects, because it's very rare that you get an opportunity for a tax credit project to come to a small community like this. And it's very rare that you get an organization as large as Chelsea with an interest in a community like ours. This is a really great, viable project, and it's really needed by the residents of Atwater, and it's needed now. And so if we continue to hesitate on this project, their costs are going to continue to go up, and the market escalation is going to make it unfeasible. So I would just say that from our perspective, we took a look at it, we weighed in, and I would definitely recommend on behalf of me, not on behalf just of the commission, to actually approve this project and move forward with it. It's much, much needed in our community.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Seeing none, we'll close the public comment section and look to the dais for any motions.
I'll motion to approve staff's recommendation as presented.
I'll second.
Call for a vote.
Button?
I do appreciate, on behalf of, not on behalf of the Clan Commission, but those are some really good points. And I do, like I said, I know a lot of people that could use this. It's a need, that's for sure. You know, I'm going to say one more thing on my soapbox. Part of the, if California's policies with the labor shortage and the regulations in building homes could be eased, and we could make things a little more easier to build homes out here, we might not be in this bad of a position. That's a frustration. But yeah, I'll be yes.
Ambrose?
Yes.
Raymond?
Well, I'm disappointed that I'm unable to do further research. Our hands are kind of tied by the state, and while I don't disagree with this project, I don't know if the location's the best, but like I said, our hands are tied. Yes.
Kale?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. So before we go to public comments, I want to answer Ms. Dash your question about check number 17553. Our finance director sent us this message. It is for the firework ad, and money moved, and fire money moved that was left over in Measure H from supplies to be expended for firework education for the public. And that's what her reaction to your question was. Okay, public comments, or comments from the public.
At this time, any person may comment on any item which is not on the agenda. You may state your name and address for the record, however is not required. Action will not be taken on an item that is not on the agenda. If it requires action, it will be referred to staff and or placed on a future agenda. Please limit comments to a maximum of 3 minutes.
Okay, do we have any emails or voicemail public comments?
Mayor Pro Tem, I do not have any emails. However, I do have one speaker card.
Okay, let's listen to your email first. Oh, she doesn't have.
No, Mayor
Okay,
Pro Tem.
but you have speaker cards? Let's go. Let's
Yes.
start.
I have one speaker card, and it is from Frank Johnson.
Welcome, Mr. Johnson.
Good evening, Pro Mayor, Council, City Manager, Attorney. Frank Johnson, Modesto, President of the NAAAP. The Police Department currently is in the process of hiring a lieutenant who will be in second command of the department. I'm here today to oppose a candidacy of William Novinsky for lieutenant position. For the reasons set forth below, I strongly believe Novinsky would be a disastrous choice for this position. I listed in detail in my July 12th letter, which I sent to all of you, the chief, the city manager. In summary, Novinsky is known for bullying and harassing his subordinates. Just one example is Niederreiter's age discrimination case. The city paid out $105,000 in settlements to Niederreiter, plus another $100,000 in legal costs. 2012, Novinsky was prime suspect in illegally recording union meeting and giving the tape to the chief. Novinsky withdrew from a fight, leaving his fellow officers in a lurch because the suspect broke his finger. In another case, Novinsky panicked and fired his rifle wildly in another direction, not even close to the suspect, blowing out the eardrum of a fellow officer. Novinsky bragged that he had disqualified 9 of 11 applicants while volunteering on an oral board for Ceres PD. The Ceres chief, Art DeWork, instructed the staff to never invite Novinsky to sit on another of their oral boards in the future. Novinsky frequently bragged with a sadistic grin on his face that he wrote over 30 handicap parking violations in 1 year. At that time, those violations carried $1,000 each. On another call, a frustrated mother took a small plastic bag of marijuana out of her son's bedroom and tossed it at Novinsky's feet. Novinsky arrested the mother for assaulting a police officer. The district attorney laughed at Novinsky's report and didn't file charges against the mother. Novinsky dropped the ball by failing to file or to submit the required statistics to the officer of traffic safety, and thereby caused the department to
Your time is up, Mr. Johnson. Thank you for your statement.
I'm hoping you take this into consideration. Thank you.
Do we have any other speaker cards?
No, Mayor Pro Tem, we do not.
Do we have anybody who wishes to make a public comment? Seeing none, we'll close public comment and we'll go to the dais for their comment. Let's start with you, Mr. Raymond.
Yeah, I have a question for the city attorney. It's always been my understanding, and this is just for clarification for everybody, when a resident gets up to speak regarding an item on the agenda, there is an allowed back and forth. But in the case of public comment, that's when there's no back and forth. Can you correct me if I'm wrong? Just so I know.
So generally speaking, public comment, whether it's in the public comment portion or in reference to a specific item, council, there is generally no back and forth. Council has the discretion to direct a question to staff if the council so desires, but there's no requirement that council speak. And generally the practice is not to speak in response, just for the sake of orderliness and moving forward.
Okay, so we're looking at the desire of the chair.
Yes, but I also think that there's a city council policy that speaks to this as well, but I can't quote that offhand.
Okay, I just wasn't sure. That's why I didn't say anything earlier. Other than that, I really don't have anything.
Okay. Councilman Ambrose.
I just want to give this evening's filibuster award to Councilmember Button there.
That wasn't allowed anymore.
No, I have nothing to say tonight. Thank you.
Councilman Button, the soapbox is yours.
Oh man, take a deep breath here. No, just, yeah, sorry. Maybe there's too much coffee. Sorry. I just want to say real short, I had a great time at the I know it's been a while, the 4th of July parade went really, really, really well. It was great to see, gosh, there's people from all over at that event. That was a lot of fun. And congratulations to the team that came up here. Baseball has a great reputation around this area. Yeah, everybody enjoyed the splash pad. It's been kicking off really good. Hope everybody goes out there and takes advantage of that. And yeah, that's all I have.
Okay. My turn. So I want to congratulate and reiterate that these kids were under 13 years old and they won a national championship in baseball. That is amazing. Congratulations goes out to those guys again. Congratulations to our new officer. We're going to try to get more as quickly as we can. Congratulations goes out to Old Town Atwater, and they're getting ready to put an ice skating rink out in town, and look for that because we're getting ready to have a new website and be willing to take donations so that we can have an ice skating rink for all the kids out here to enjoy. 4th of July, I want to say I was very saddened and thought about the community. My wife and I were on a road trip, and we thought about the city of Atwater all day on the 4th of July because we knew we needed to be here, but we had already promised ourselves to a different area on that day. And one of the things that really hit me hard was that while we were out of the state and driving around, we went to a lot of little towns, and we compared those little towns with our little town. Outside of California, there's not a whole lot of homeless issues in little towns. Ms. Gash left, and she has been a proponent of helping these people out and does a fantastic job of helping them out. We really need to look at what's going on out here, and if they don't want to get help, they don't need to cause problems in our little town, because there's hundreds and thousands of little towns all over the United States and that don't have that homeless problem that we have. On another thing, on August 10th is National Night Out, and that is a nationwide crime prevention program involving citizens and law enforcement officers and first aid responders and the community departments that we have. So on Tuesday, August 10th, set your time for 4 o'clock. It starts at 5 o'clock, so 7 o'clock at the Walmart parking lot. Come on out. There'll be raffle prizes for everyone. And it should be a lot of fun to be able to meet some of the police officers, and the fire department will be there. And everybody will be out there having some hot dogs and good food. So thank you all for coming tonight, and I'll call this meeting closed, adjourned.